Good afternoon, Council. My name is Matt Shackelford, the Fleet, Facilities, and Asset Manager for the City of Sequim. Today, I would like to give you an overview of the City of Sequim's fleet management and the processes that we are improving. Possibly the most important thing to take away from this presentation is that the City of Sequim's fleet is different. When compared to other municipality fleets, Sequim is just different. At approximately 6.5 square miles, Sequim is only so big, and our vehicles can only travel so far. Because of this, we can limit the wear and tear on our vehicles and equipment. In turn, this allows us to keep our vehicles longer than other fleets and continue to get reliable service. The Fleet Division oversees the maintenance and repairs to a total of 153 units. This is all rolling stock, ranging from riding lawnmowers and police department patrol cars to heavy dump trucks and tracked excavators. In addition to the 153 rolling stock units, Fleet also maintains and repairs the city's 15 site emergency generators, all small engine tools such as chainsaws and trimmers, and other miscellaneous equipment and attachments like snowplows, pumps, and so on. The current average model year of our fleet is a 2015. Throughout the fleet, the average miles driven per year is around 5,500 miles. This highlights the limited size area of Sequim. We do have a couple of vehicles that average around 11,000 miles per year, but there are also some who average less than 500 miles per year. The city has invested just over $8 million in the purchase of our current fleet. This equates to $12.5 million replacement value in today's dollars. Before diving into our management tools and inventory, I would like to quickly highlight some other aspects of our fleet management. We have 6 shared administrative vehicles and several other vehicles that are shared between divisions. With the help of the IT department, we have a simple checkout process that helps us track the use of these vehicles. Also, historically, the police department fleet has been managed internally by PD staff. Slowly, Public Works and PD are working together towards a city-incorporated fleet. Fleet will also utilize outsourcing of services as needed based off of staff workload, timing, and financial impact. This is typically with the specialty services that require special tools or equipment, such as AC servicing. While staff could perform these services, it doesn't make fiscal sense to purchase the expensive tools and licenses for such limited needs. Oil changes are another service that have been considered for outsourcing. After extensive research, we found very little financial benefit to offset the importance of our staff being able to see each vehicle on a regular basis. Going back to the limited use of our vehicles, we have over half the fleet that visit the shop for preventative maintenance less than once per year. This may be the only chance that staff have to inspect that vehicle. Time management is extremely important as the fleet department is currently staffed by the fleet manager and chief mechanic. Protecting our fleet assets is an extremely important aspect of fleet management that can be easily overlooked. Once per year, fleet and risk services staff review the entire fleet to ensure the correct inventory, coverages, and replacement values are all listed on our policies. We take this opportunity to verify that all important documents are in all of our vehicles as well. Lastly, we need to keep the cycle of improvement going. To ensure this, we use the tools at our disposal to identify current conditions and future replacement needs to limit any upcoming funding surprises. The Fleet Department has worked hard in the past few years to update our fleet management practices to reflect all aspects of our fleet and incorporate data-driven decisions. Staff have worked hard to identify our current inventory and move it all into one software, then use that software to track and predict our future needs. Additionally, we have invested in much needed equipment to bring our shop up to industry standards. In 2021, the city moved to Cartograph Asset Management as the asset software used by Public Works for asset inventory and maintenance tracking. Now owned by OpenGov, Cartograph has a complete fleet module that we utilize for our inventory, maintenance tracking, conditional assessments, and replacement ratings. To make the most out of this system, an accurate inventory was entered and we moved to gather as many usable details on our equipment that we could find. On this slide, we can see a sample of the details page for truck number 77100. Here you can see all of the detailed fields that we created and populated with information. Basic things like make, model, and VIN number to help us when ordering parts, but then more in-depth fields like insurance ID and FEMA codes to help other departments like risk services and finance. Even the current mileage or hours on the vehicle are listed in the upper right-hand corner. The details page continues by offering sections for attachments and replacement parts where pictures, manuals, and common parts can all be listed for future reference. As we continue through the detailed layout, here you can see the complete service history of the vehicle listed in the task section. Any previously documented work is broken down by activity, date, even total cost, and it can be easily found and reviewed. All preventative maintenance tasks are set up in the background to automatically populate as needed, either by a set time frame or by a defined number of miles or hours. Once these tasks are populated, fleet staff are notified of the service needed and the work can be scheduled. The fuel log section shown on the bottom of the slide both tracks the frequency of fueling and gathers the current usage in either miles or hours depending on the type of vehicle or equipment. This fueling information is captured at the fuel pump by our fuel vendor, and then a report is automatically integrated into Cartograph. To evaluate vehicle conditions and help predict replacement needs, Cartograph utilizes two separate tools. The first tool is the Overall Condition Index, or OCI. The blue circle highlights the OCI calculated information. OCI is viewed as a score out of 100. The higher the score, the better the condition. The score is factored by using two sources, one being a background degradation curve and the other a staff-performed assessment. Some examples of the assessment details are listed in the box on the left. On this example, we see that this truck has an OCI of 81.99 out of 100, and it has almost 9 years left on our replacement schedule. The second tool is the Vehicle Replacement Rating, or VRR. The VRR is a total score out of 30. The lower the rating, the less likely the vehicle needs replacement. The red circle shows a VRR of 6.91 for this truck. On the far right, the score is listed again along with the average score for all vehicles within the same vehicle group as a quick comparison. It should be noted that we have a limited history for some vehicles owned prior to Cartograph implementation in 2021. Until our historical data can catch up with the age of our fleet, we have found a better accuracy in viewing the VRR as a score out of 25 versus 30. Overall, the current City of Sequim VRR is 10.16 out of 25. Time and usage have the largest impact on the overall remaining value of a vehicle. On the left side of this slide, we have an example of the Cartograph OCI background degradation curve that was mentioned before. These curves are customizable to the different equipment groups and over time map the condition rate of decline. For example, a PD patrol car's condition will decline more rapidly than a public works service truck due to the frequency and severity of the service. The same approach is true for the annual depreciated value of our fleet. Most of the standard vehicles and equipment in our fleet depreciate at a rate of 2.5% per year, which is very similar to the depreciation rate of your standard personal car. However, PD patrol vehicles depreciate at a much higher rate, typically around 7.8%. The main reason for this added value reduction is due to the large cost to upfit the patrol vehicle for service after the base vehicle has been purchased. Once that equipment has been installed, there is very little recovery from that investment. Most of that specialized equipment is required to be removed and scrapped at the end of the vehicle's life. When we compare the end of life of a PD patrol car with a public works service truck. The service truck has a higher demand in the used market and a lot more cost recovery is possible. With replacement scheduling, timing is the key. We want to get the most service out of a vehicle that we can, but surplus it before the repair costs become too high. On the left, we have an example of a simple economic life cycle curve showing that over time, the value of a vehicle goes down and the repair costs go up. Our goal is to replace that vehicle at that optimal point where its value is still higher than the total repair costs that have been put into it. The upper right shows an example of Cartograph's tool for tracking those overall repair costs. This area on the details page tracks the total costs for fuel, labor, parts, and vendor charges over the life of the vehicle. Again, older equipment is lacking that historical data, but our experience can fill in the blanks to make the right decisions. The lower right of this slide shows the breakdown of our replacement schedules. The fleet was divided into groups of similar vehicles to evaluate their overall recommended time of service. As these schedules were developed, we referenced industry standards and other municipality guidelines, but most importantly, our own historical information. An example of this being our heavy truck class. According to industry standards, 25 years is an abnormally long time to hang on to one full-size dump truck. Until our purchase of 3 nice used dump trucks last year, our current trucks were 40 years old with 30 years of service to the city of Sequim. Over those 30 years, 34,000 miles was the most wear that we had put on a single truck. This is a great example showing that new replacements are not always needed. Knowing these schedules and understanding the conditions of our vehicles and equipment allows us to prepare for future fleet needs and expenses. We continue to evaluate the equipment that we have and how it fits with the work we perform. As mentioned at the beginning, Sequim is different, and we have the ability to get more out of our fleet. As always, please feel free to ask questions or request more information at any time. Thank you and have a good evening.